I bought a fucking Civic, man. Oh my god. I bought a really good Honda Civic Type R EP3 and I'm taking it apart. Look what I've done. Look, there's no front end on it. But it's because I want that. Is it so wrong to do this? I don't know. Tell you what, I don't think it's wrong at all. So I have this, right? This perfectly good CTR. And my mate Adam used to own it. You've seen it in the channel once before because he changed the clutch on it. It's not his anymore, it's mine. Come on around here. I'm getting that out. See that? That's mine now. Alright, paid a lot of money for it. Don't mind paying a bit of money for it because I'm going to K-swap Civic. Not this Civic, my Civic, the red one. So I'm pulling this out and I'm getting rid of all the other bits. I'm kind of breaking it, I suppose, but I want shot of it as quickly as possible. I have technically sold the bumper, the lights, the seats, kind of not happy with the seller, the buyer, sorry, yeah, I'm the seller, and a few other bits and bobs. So I'm kind of making what money I can out of it. I'm splitting the profit, half of the profit with Adam. I paid him, I'm not going to talk about how much I paid him for the car. The reason I've got this one is because it was a known vehicle to me. I knew the quality of the engine. It's got a few little special bits on it, like if Natalie Pan's in here, we've got M2 Motorsport manifold. It's got K100 ECU, which is tuned to, I think he's had a map done on 240 or 220 brake. It's got Tiggy exhaust on it with DC2 headers. There you go. So it should be a good basis for a K-swap basically. And I'm in the process of breaking another car, which I really don't want to do, but I'll try to do it as efficiently as possible. So yes, we've got something to help me with that. Obviously, I need an engine crane to pull the engine out of the K20, or the K20 out of the EP3, to put it back into the EG and to remove the EG's engine. It was going to cost me 50 quid to hire a crane for the day, which in my opinion is just mental. So I looked on eBay. Switzer, come round here babe. Switzer, which are nothing German, they're a cheap Chinese brand. Sell this engine crane for £110. So I'm like, well, that's a no-brainer, man. So I buy it. It's actually pretty good quality, but when I pull it out, I'm going to show you something which is quite dramatic. So it's a folding engine crane, 1 ton, which is more than you need to pull an engine. And quality-wise, it's pretty good. It's got some massive big bolts in it. If you look at the back of it, it's got these 2 bars down here. Now, if you bolt the whole crane up, they don't match up to the holes at the bottom. They're like an inch off, like miles away. So I'm like, well, what gives there? So I deal with the company, I phone them up, and they say to me, we'll send you a manual. Now, I will admit, when I got the original like piece of paper, you know, with the Chinese instructions, it says not to tighten all the bolts up properly until you know, get everything together. But being the genius that I am, I ignored that and I bolted them all up nice and tight. If you come down here, what you have to do to get these straps in is you've got to leave these 2 giant M16 bolts loose, like properly loose, and then get these bars in the back and then tighten these up. And what Natalie will just about be able to make out is how much force there is pulling on this, because that whole plate there is now bent, right, with the amount of force that I put into it to make sure it's secure. But it means that all of this assembly here, this big upright and these back bars, are like a big spring. They're under loads of tension, and it should make for quite a nice steady lifting crane. There you have your cheap Chinese engine crane. Seems pretty good to be fair, but it's damn sight cheaper than going and renting one for 50 quid, which isn't brand new. And now I've got an engine crane. Sweet, it's a necessary evil. I don't really want one because they're a pain in the ass to store, but seeing as it folds, I'm pretty chuffed. We've got an EP3 engine, it's about to come out, hanging on the crane. We need to remove 1 more bolt on the driver's side and then guide this big lump out of the engine bay. Right, well done, cheap Chinese engine crane. We've got a K20. Let's get it away from the car over here in the clean spot. We live in rented accommodation. I'm trying really hard not to make a mess in here. It's really important to me. I keep the garage as clean as possible. That's why we have loads of cardboard and loads of stuff everywhere for a bit of a laugh. The boy used to work as a telesales advisor for an insurance company and won an award I had to spend 2 years of my life looking at my face on one of the steps of the business. Now it's going to be repurposed as a clean floor mat. I am removing the clutch and the flywheel from the bad boy right now so I can get it on the engine crane. I'm now panicking just a little bit because if you pan up there, I've just sold the body shell to a guy from Bristol who's going to be coming up tomorrow, and I've got to get a few more bits off before he comes up and try and tidy up so that it's got kind of half a front end put back on it. So the day has gone from being rather peaceful to being a bit hectic now, but we shall get there. This is all the fun of cars, people. So as you can see, stood in the middle of the garage here, space is a bit of a premium. We don't really have very much room for doing K-swaps in here, so I might have built an extra room. K20 in the shed, man. In my wee shed, which is needing already a bit of tidying up. But yeah, don't ask why I'm so out of breath. But we're here, clutch and flywheel's last row bits to go in. They can live quietly under there. I'm going to tidy this up in a bit because I've got insulation. I have much insulation for the shed being up in the north. Because I'm now living in the north. It's a bit cold up here compared to Bournemouth. I don't like the cold and I don't like the rain, but maids must when the devil drives. Making my day much fucking easier. So the shell, as you see it behind me, is going to get picked up as of today, tomorrow night, and it's going to roll in the back of a beaver tail and go away. Some lad all the way down in Bristol is paying for it to be picked up, even though something I was really surprised about is he knew his stuff and he asked me to look at a couple of things for him and send him pictures. Namely, he asked me to take out the speakers and look behind them so you could see the internals of the back of the sills. They were a lot rustier than you would expect. So the car you see behind me, it looks immaculate from outside. It's not quite as immaculate as you might expect, and it's taught me a few things about the way EP3s are. The chassis rails are beginning to get a little bit crusty at the front and the back, and yeah, the end of the sills was beginning to show a bit of, you know, tiredness. So this car probably will need to be welded within the next couple of years, just like every other bloody Honda out there, guys. Right, it's gone. I haven't told you about the parts that I've kept yet. There'll be more on that on the next upcoming video. If you want to know more about the EG Civic, I'm going to leave a link in the description and a playlist that we're going to start for this build. She's a bone stock EG4 Civic that looks like a dog but it's solid as a rock, and I'm very excited because it's one of the few that I've ever seen that underneath really doesn't need much work. I'm going to make it a beauty, and I hope you all come along with me for the ride. We're off, we're going to K-swap a Civic. Thanks for watching as always, guys. That's it for now. Pamo out.